Rest without dreams. What if sleep is not what we think it is? For us, it is the kingdom of dreams, hours of silence where the body repairs itself and the mind wanders through strange landscapes. But imagine a civilization where sleep is not escape, but rhythm, where no one dares rest too long, for the empire must never pause. In this world, sleep is fractured, fleeting, functional, and that world belongs to the ants. Close your eyes and picture a colony beneath the soil. Workers stream through tunnels, tending larvae, feeding the queen, hauling food, defending against invaders. But look closer. Some pause in corners, their antennae drooping, their legs folded. A few seconds pass, perhaps a minute. Then they stir again, rejoining the living machine. Ants do not sleep as we do. They sleep in fragments, dozens, even hundreds of micronaps scattered across a day. In place of our 8-hour symphony, they live by staccato notes, broken but unending. Scientists studying fire ants with tiny electrodes discovered something eerie. Workers take around 250 short rests each day, each lasting barely over a minute. Queens, in contrast, sleep longer, not in hours but in cycles that stretch into minutes or sometimes longer. Their rest is deeper, more sustained, like royalty basking in privilege, while the workers labor in endless shifts. Even in slumber, hierarchy persists. But here is the unsettling truth. An ant colony never sleeps. There is no dusk, no silence, no collective pause. At any given moment, someone is awake, someone is working, someone is watching. The rhythm of the colony is a pulse that never breaks, an empire that never closes its eyes. Compared to human cities, which rest when lights dim, the ant civilization is perpetual. It is not a place of nights and days, but of continuity. Pause and think about the implications. We humans believe sleep is essential. Without it, our minds unravel, our bodies weaken, our sanity frays. But ants exist in a world where rest is distributed so finely across individuals that the colony itself never knows fatigue. They have achieved what we dream of, a civilization without pause, a machine that runs forever. What if our cities could do the same, rotating sleep among workers so that nations never stop, economies never falter, wars never cease? In a way, ants are already living this reality. There is also the question of dreams. Do ants dream? Scientists cannot say for certain, but their sleep patterns are too brief for the kind of REM cycles where humans conjure stories. Their minds, if they dream, are not weaving narratives, but resetting circuits, recharging enough to continue the endless labor. In this, ants embody a world without imagination, where rest is not for fantasy but for function. And yet, perhaps the colony itself is the dream, a collective vision written into DNA, a story lived out in millions of tiny fragments. Think of it as philosophy. We view sleep as a retreat from the world, a surrender to vulnerability. Ants transform it into something else. Efficiency. No single ant matters, only the continuity of the whole. When one rests, another rises. When one collapses, another takes its burden. There is no wasted moment, no fragile pause. Their fractured sleep is not weakness, it is endurance. Perhaps this is the eerie answer to our question. Do ants ever sleep? Yes, but not in the way we do. They rest without dreaming, pause without stopping, sleep without sleep. They remind us that rest itself is relative, that survival does not always follow the rules we write for ourselves. In their scattered naps, their sleepless empires, lies a truth more haunting than any dream. Perhaps the most enduring civilizations are those that never fully close their eyes. The Queen's privilege. What if rest itself is political? Imagine a kingdom where the ruler reclines in relative luxury, while the subjects labor tirelessly, surviving on scraps of rest. To us, this sounds like monarchy, feudalism, or tyranny. To the ants, it is simply biology. Their queen, the heart of the colony, sleeps longer, deeper, and better than her workers. Even slumber mirrors hierarchy. Scientists observing fire ants and carpenter ants noticed a startling divide. Workers take hundreds of tiny naps each day, each lasting only a minute or two. They collapse mid-task, recover, and continue. Queens, however, enjoy something closer to royal sleep. They rest in longer intervals, sometimes more than 10 minutes, their bodies sinking into a stillness absent in their frantic workers. Over the span of a day, a queen might sleep nearly 9 hours in scattered stretches, while her workers endure on barely half that amount. Why? The answer lies in purpose. Workers are expendable, their lives measured in weeks or months. The queen may live for decades. Her health determines the fate of the entire colony. To preserve her fertility, her body demands cycles of real rest. Her longevity is not an accident, but a carefully balanced system where her sleep is an investment, one made by the sacrifice of thousands who never dream. Pause and picture this contrast as if it were human. A city where rulers enjoy nightly feasts of uninterrupted sleep while citizens stagger through days, living on micro-naps in alleys and stairwells. To us, this is dystopia. To ants, it is survival. They have written inequality even into the fabric of rest, and it works. Their empires endure not in spite of it, but because of it. But there is another layer to the queen's privilege: synchronization. Studies suggest that worker naps are staggered, never aligned, ensuring that the colony as a whole never shuts down. It is as though millions of tiny clocks tick at once, offset but harmonious, keeping the empire alive without pause. The queen, in contrast, is a loud disconnection. She does not need to time her rest to the rhythm of the colony. Her sleep is sovereign, insulated, privileged, and yet workers do not resent this imbalance. They cannot. Instinct erases protest. Their fragmented sleep is written into their DNA. They do not ask why they sleep less. They do not question why the queen rests longer. They accept, they endure, they continue. Civilization functions not on fairness, but on function. Here lies the eerie parallel with us. Our history, too, is filled with inequalities of rest. Kings slept in chambers, while soldiers kept watch at walls. Industrial laborers toiled through sleepless nights, while factory owners dreamed in luxury. Even today, many grind through broken rest, while others purchase the privilege of uninterrupted sleep. The ants remind us that rest is never neutral. It is always shaped by power, purpose, and survival. Perhaps the strangest thought is this: the queen's longer sleep may be the key to her immortality. She lives up to 30 years in some species, an eternity compared to her workers' fleeting weeks. Her rest is not idleness, but preservation, a secret to longevity that echoes faintly with our own search for eternal life. Maybe the lesson is in settling. To endure, someone must rest while others remain restless. So, do ants ever sleep? Yes, but not equally. For the workers, it is exhaustion carved into fragments. For the queen, it is privilege written in biology. And in this divide, we glimpse a civilization where inequality is not injustice, but design. The sleepless colony. What if the greatest strength of ants lies not in how they work, but in how they rest? Picture a city that never sleeps, not New York, not Tokyo, but a far older metropolis carved beneath the soil. At any given moment, workers scurry through tunnels, soldiers patrol the gates, nurses tend to the brood, foragers march in lines. Yet if you could slow time and watch carefully, you'd see something stranger. Here and there, a worker pauses, antennae drooping, legs folding inward. For a minute, perhaps two, it disappears into silence. Then it stirs, shakes, and continues its task. Multiply this by thousands, and you see the secret. The colony rests in fragments, but the colony never sleeps. Scientists call this a polyphasic sleep pattern, hundreds of naps spread across the day and night. For fire ants, the average worker rests about 4 hours total in these scattered intervals. But because their naps are staggered, no two ants in a task group collapse at once. One sleeps, another wakes. The system runs without interruption, like a machine with endless gears, each turning while others pause. It is the biological equivalent of a perpetual motion engine. Pause and reflect on what that means. Human societies are fragile. Our factories close, our cities quiet, our nations pause when workers rest. Ants are not fragile. Their colonies hum with uninterrupted rhythm, a pulse that has continued for more than 100 million years. They have solved the problem of fatigue not by eliminating sleep, but by distributing it so finely that the whole never feels it. To us, this is unimaginable. To them, it is instinct. This rhythm is not only endurance, but survival. In the wild, dangers lurk constantly: predators, rival colonies, sudden floods. If the entire colony slept at once, it would be doomed. By fracturing rest, they ensure vigilance. At least some are always awake, always alert, always ready to defend or rebuild. Their sleepless civilization is not chance, but evolution's genius shaped by catastrophe. Now, consider the scale. A supercolony of Argentine ants stretches across thousands of kilometers, billions of individuals, each taking naps of seconds, yet collectively awake at every moment. It is as though an empire larger than Rome or China hums without pause, without nightfall, without a single heartbeat of stillness. Imagine if human civilizations worked this way: governments that never slept, cities that never dinned, armies that never tired. Perhaps we would call it utopia. Perhaps we would call it tyranny. Ants call it survival. But there is something eerie here. The sleepless colony mirrors something familiar in our age. We, too, are building societies that never rest. 24-hour news, factories, digital networks alive at every second. Like ants, we are erasing night with electricity, dissolving rest into fragments. Our civilization, too, hums without pause. Yet, unlike ants, our bodies revolt. Insomnia, exhaustion, collapse. We are not designed for the sleepless world we have created. Ants are. And here lies the haunting lesson. Rest for them is not personal but collective. They do not need full sleep because the colony itself is the sleeper. Each ant is a cell in a larger body resting in rhythm, so that the organism never falters. In this, they embody the idea of the superorganism perfectly. They remind us that civilization is not about the individual's rhythm, but the collective's continuity. So, do ants ever sleep? Yes, but their sleep is scattered, strategic, sacrificial. It is not rest as we know it, but endurance woven into millions of tiny pauses. And in this sleeplessness, their empires rise eternal, humming beneath the soil while ours collapse under the weight of fatigue. dreamless eternity. What if the true mark of civilization is not how it dreams, but how it endures without dreaming? We humans build stories from sleep. We drift into visions. We shape myths. We wake to art, to memory, to invention. Sleep is not only repair, it is imagination. Now picture a world without dreams. No visions, no myths, no poetry. Only rhythm, only survival. That world belongs to the ants. Pause and imagine the colony as one vast body. A few cells rest while others remain active, but the body itself never sleeps. There are no shared nights, no pauses, no collective dreams. Instead, the colony hums eternally, fractured rests stitched together into continuity. Ants do not sleep as we do because they do not need to. Their civilization has no nightfall, only endless daylight beneath the soil. Consider what this means for us. Our civilizations falter because we require rest, workers sleep, leaders grow old, societies pause. Collapse creeps in through our exhaustion. Ants do not collapse. They adapt. Their sleepless continuity ensures that, while empires of stone fall, empires of soil endure. Their fractured rest is their crown. And yet, the thought is eerie. For what is lost when a civilization never dreams? Ants do not write stories. They do not sculpt monuments. They do not imagine futures. They endure, but they do not create. Their strength is their unity, their continuity, their dreamless eternity. Perhaps this is why their empires last millions of years, while ours rise and fall in centuries. Perhaps dreaming is both our greatest gift and our greatest weakness. Now imagine the earth without us. Our cities crumble, our monuments decay. The night sky continues its silent arc, and beneath the soil, ants still stir, still work, still pause for fractured moments of rest. They do not mourn us, for they never needed us. Their sleepless empire continues, humming in rhythms too small for us to notice, too vast for us to comprehend. So, do ants ever sleep? Yes, but only in fragments, only in rhythm, only enough to keep the colony alive. Their rest is not for dreams, but for survival. And in that dreamless survival lies a truth we cannot escape. Perhaps the civilizations that endure are not the ones that dream the most, but the ones that never fully close their eyes. Perhaps the first empire was not ours, and perhaps the final one will not be either. Perhaps the shadow civilization of ants, sleepless and eternal, has been here all along.